We're going to get into the explanation of the soft forward rolls now. These are completely different than any of the hard falls that we've done before, and that also means that the context that we're going to be using them is completely different as well. Situation of fight, usually when someone is being thrown, especially if I'm supporting him, he's doing a hard break fall. He doesn't really get a chance to do any kind of roll from here. It's next to impossible. The situation where we're going to be rolling is more issue of a projectile throw. Maybe I'm throwing him over my head, or he's falling and he's losing balance forwards, this kind of thing. I've also used it myself when I've fallen backwards and then I had to turn instead of falling on my back and then a roll this way. But the context that we're using is completely different. At any rate, let's get into the stancing when we start, how to roll soft, nice and round, in addition to how to stand up properly in a good balance. The main issue with any kind of forward roll, soft forward roll, is to be as round as possible and as soft as possible, almost cat-like. That being said, the first steps you're going to make from now in terms of setting your actual roll up are going to be so important for determining everything else. So what I'm going to do with Joel now, just to determine if he's right or left hand dominant, is just a little test to see now if he's going to be stronger on his right side or his left side. In this case, he's going to be stronger on the right side. We know it's the right side because his right foot is coming forward. So this is how we determine the right roll for this versus the left roll. Right foot is right roll. So what I'm doing now is going back to where his foot was. Go back to where your foot was. This is about a comfortable stance where I'm going to get him to widen up his stance just a little bit. In terms of bring this leg back a little bit. Back to me. Good. He's going to make a triangle now. It's going to be 3 points. The opposite hand from the foot that's on the front is going to go down on the floor now, right underneath the shoulder. So this hand is going to go down. That's right. Fingers pointing forward. So the fingers are going to point the same way as the toes. At the same time, it's very important that the heel of the back leg is going to be off the ground, lifting up, pointing towards the ceiling. This way. You can even bring this leg back a little bit to widen up your base. You'll notice that his feet are not on the same line now, right? And his base is wide, so he has balance here. Almost like he's a football player, he's going to tackle someone, he's going to a point where he's going to lunge forward. Okay, so we check his balance, make sure he's stable from here. Yeah, it's a good way if you have a partner you can test yourself. You'll notice if the foot comes in, bring your foot closer to the other foot. From here, you'll see you'll lose balance very easily if you're off. It's important to keep this heel up because if the heel is down, the tendency is for this foot to twist, and if this twists, and he's going to fall on his side, which we don't want. Okay, so this is here, toes and fingers are pointing forward. At the same time, this leg is not too far back. You've got a good, almost 90-degree bend in the knee. You can be a little bit higher. But I don't want this leg to be too long, otherwise too much weight is going to be here. It's going to be hard to project forwards. Okay. Very important, while we're being round and soft, that the head never touches the ground. This is so important. Obviously, you never, ever want your head to be hitting the ground when you're rolling. So from here, he's tucking his head in, almost like he's going to be looking at his toe, and his arm is going to be protecting his head just in case. So it's almost like a curve from here. That's right, this way. This is the stance. Go back. It's important when you're learning just to practice setting that up, just to get into the habit, because in a real situation, you don't really have a chance to step properly and all this kind of stuff. It has to be done naturally. Set it up again. Test yourself. The right side. He's checking all the points from here. Good. Tuck the head down. What also happens when he tucks his head down is it makes his back more round. Right? We want to be like a sphere. Okay? I don't want to roll directly on the spine. The angle is going to be more from here. It's diagonal across the body from here. So from here, Joe, what I want you to do is just roll forward. Yeah. And I don't care how you end up. I just want to see the roll. Go. Nice and soft. Good. Let's clean up the ending now. As I mentioned, you're going to be always weakest during your transition. So what does that mean? Usually in a situation, if you're falling this way, means the person that made you fall is over here. So when you get back up from your fall, you've got to make sure you're facing this way, and you're also going to make sure you're in a good stance and ready for whatever is happening. If you're going to be standing up and you're standing perfectly straight, you're completely vulnerable, you might as well stay on the ground because you're finished. So from here, go down, and this time, when you roll, start getting into the habit now of standing up and facing me. Go. Now what I like is the positioning of his legs in the transition when he was getting up with one knee down. Come back. And let's see what I'm talking about. Come over here for a second. A good way to practice is just to be aware of this stage. Okay, so I have one knee down, one knee up, and I'm already starting to get into a good position, as opposed now to coming up feet together and whatnot. So what's going to end up happening is when I'm coming up now, I'm standing up facing over here. You'll notice that when I rolled, I didn't use my hands to get up. I'm going to have to use my hands to protect myself. So this would be wrong. This is wrong because your head is completely exposed. In the beginning, if you need the momentum, it's okay to use the hands a little bit, but you want to eventually get out of the habit of using your hands at all. Eventually, you're going to use your hands for momentum just to get up on their own. In other words, when I'm rolling from here, your hands are helping you get up from here. The stance at the end is what we call in survival the T stance. So if you look at my feet now, my base is wide. The forward leg has the toes pointing towards the attacker. So if Joel would be over here, I'm going to be facing him over here. And the back leg is going to be open here, toes pointing 90 degrees to the side. Again, it's a mistake to have the feet in line. I have no base here, and I have no stability. Lateral. This has to be out. At the same time, not too wide. I need to be comfortable so that I can move. Knees are bent, but only so much that I need to move. At the same time, the hands are up protecting the face, getting ready for the attacker. The forward hand is a little bit out, just in case I need to feel the range. He's going to be coming to me probably. This helps sometimes keep a distance, keep him away I can feel. The other hand's protecting the face, but it doesn't have to be this way. There's different options. Another common mistake is the angle on the line that people roll on. So the tendency for many people is when they roll on an angle. Once you get the stance and you start to get the big picture of the roll, you can start fine-tuning the little points, but they're important points. So usually if you're practicing on mats, there's going to be lines in the mats. What I'm going to do is set up my base, hand in line with the foot, with the line directly up my middle. So I know that the line is going to be in front of me, and when I stand up, I have to finish on the line. The tendency is to veer a little bit. Perfect. Right in the middle. Okay? So this is something to look out for. Another major point is the spacing between you and the attacker when you stand up. So if, let's say now, Joel is pushing, let's say Joel is behind me from here and he's pushing me, and he's coming after me when he stands up, I might not need to be here. I might not want to be here. So in survival, it's not fixed and it's not a rigid system. If he's coming to me, I'm going to need to move back, and this is fine to create some kind of space. So my stance can be here, but if I need more space, I can step back now and stand in the opposite stance and still be facing him. So this is one option. The second option, if I need, it's fine if he's coming to me from here, is I'm just shuffling, creating a space, creating a distance. If you need the space, it's there, it's fine.